the moment you heard this news, LeBron, hey, he has all these offers on the table, but he goes to Philly. Give me the first thing that crossed your mind.
The first thing crossed my mind is, one, that the curse is over in Philly, and the process is actually processing. Now you get LeBron James. Now you're looking like a legit title contender with the addition of Jaylen Brown without having to give up your core group. And so you know what LeBron James is going to bring on the floor, right? The IQ, still playing at an all-NBA level. The effect that he's going to have offensively for us, making sure that he put guys in position to be successful. And then when you think about him and what he brings off the floor, he's going to bring that professionalism and that somewhat culture that they have been missing in Philadelphia and leading by example.
Health, Bobby, though, is always going to play a role here. Aside from that, if you assume health here, what is the one factor that is the most important for Philly to get a title?
Well, I think it's sacrifice. I think anytime you potentially could put a great team together, at least on paper right now, it's going to be the sacrifice part. And that means on offense. When you look at Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Jaylen Brown, 3 players last season that ranked in the top 25 in usage rate. So certainly the ball is going to be in all 3 of their hands. And then you add VJ Edgecombe to the mix and LeBron James. I think, Randy, the beauty of it is that last season, at least for the last couple months of the season in Los Angeles, I don't want to say took a back seat to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, but certainly LeBron's role changed dramatically here. And I would think certainly having already done that, I think this group will sacrifice for the ultimate goal to win a championship in Philadelphia.
Let's bring in a couple guys who have known LeBron a long time. Brian Windhorst, and at the corner of 21st and Shump, Iman Shumpert. Wendy, we'll start with you. What is your reaction, LeBron to Philly?
I think what Bob Myers said is exactly correct. I think if LeBron's number one priority was winning the championship in 2027, and that seems like it's a basic thing that you'd want to do as a star player, as a free agent, but that was not what we were told. We were told he was chasing basketball happiness and left to guess for a month what that meant. And there was a lot of reasonable guesses, but we now find out that basketball happiness to LeBron was having a chance to win the title in year 1 because he's not sure how long he's going to be able to play. And if that is truly the number one criteria, more than money, more than family, which is what he said in his statement, then Philadelphia's hand was always very strong. And so once he established that was his focus, the Philadelphia choice makes more sense.
Yeah, I loved to see that he went there, because if this is about winning, which I know LeBron to be a winner from being in the days in Cleveland, if it's about winning, I think this gives him the best chance. You look at Jaylen Brown, who's somebody that carried a Boston team that nobody saw going to be in the running, carried them all through the East. Now understanding that if he's going to take a backseat to anyone, why not take a backseat to LeBron James's mind? Not so much his game, not his ball dominance, but his mind, to understand the pecking order now that you have a balanced attack with a point forward at the hounds of your team. Understanding that Maxey and VJ can complement each other with playing faster, and knowing that LeBron James can now control the pace. Joel Embiid reaping benefits, being around him, just keeping himself healthy. And I even think of Anthony Simons, who is a quiet addition, but coming off the bench, somebody that plays a lot like Damian Lillard, can score the ball. Of course, he played with him in Portland. I'm excited for this team.
Got to be, right? Like, because the collection of stars out there is obviously insane. It's Jaylen Brown, as you mentioned, Embiid and Maxey, but now one of those dudes had a usage rate below 25% last season. And I know it's cliche, it's all outdoors, but there ain't but one ball out there on the court. So Wendy, how does this group then build the chemistry, knowing that Bron has an ability to take a back seat, but who else would be able to and have to?
Well, it already started, because LeBron's had multiple conversations with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I believe he's also had a conversation with head coach Nick Nurse to talk about what it's going to look like. And I expect it, of course, to take time. Training camp will be very important. But part of, I think, the reason he chose Philadelphia was his pre-existing relationship with Tyrese Maxey. If you're going to pick a team that's going to have issues sharing the ball and massaging egos, you want to have a strong relationship with the point guard. And a lot of people have been asking today, why not Cleveland? Why not Cleveland? Well, LeBron didn't have the strong relationship with James Harden that he does with Tyrese Maxey. I don't think it's anything against Harden. I think it's more about how Maxey's and LeBron's connection is strong. It gives them a basis to build from and to create that chemistry.
What do you make of the fact that he contemplated hanging it up and not returning?
Emily, I asked him actually in that press conference. I said, you've brought up the idea of retirement more than at any other point in your career. during this season. How much time do you think you have left? And he's like, actually, I haven't brought up retirement. You guys have asked about it, and I've answered questions about it. So I'm not so sure that, obviously I can't get inside the guy's head, but our conversations really after the first couple months of the season, retirement did not seem anywhere really on his mind or in his heart. There was still more basketball to play. Quite frankly, he was re-energized by the way he was able to perform in the first round of the playoffs against the Rockets as a primary option, with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic not being available. And so then it became about, if he's going to keep playing, where's it going to be? And obviously Rich Paul said that at one point it seemed like he was going to return to the Lakers. Once that decision was made and the Lakers were off the table, then the other contenders came to the forefront. And one thing I've said is, people asked me today, did you think it was going to be the Sixers? Were you shocked? Were you surprised? I just never eliminated them because I knew they were a realistic option. So the fact that they still remain a realistic option 1, 2, 3 weeks into this process, you had to give them credence as a potential landing spot.
You're right, Brian, that when LeBron laid out his very thoughtful, very thorough statement, he did indirectly mention the other teams, or very directly actually, mention the other teams that it was down to and he was considering. And I think a lot of us, and I'll put myself in that camp, was thinking that maybe it would be a hometown reunion with Cleveland or the poetic ending of going back to Miami. Ramona, why wasn't it?
I spoke to Rich Paul about that about an hour ago. And he said for a lot of the time he thought it was going to end up being Miami. That seemed to be a nice fit in that story. But he said, when you've been to a place before, when you've won in a place before, if you go back, it may not be the same. You kind of want to leave those memories where they were. You want to leave those memories as they are. And they had a great time together when he won 2 titles down in Miami. You'll never top 2016 in Cleveland. I mean, that was an amazing story to cover, an amazing run. And so I think this appeal of something new is attractive at this stage in his career. Plus, let's not forget about Tyrese Maxey. I can't say enough about what a ray of sunshine this guy is, and LeBron knows it. It's the kind of guy you want to play with. And Jaylen Brown, that's another LeBron type player. Somebody he's going to grind. Jaylen Brown's doing the underwater training, and he pushes himself. So there's going to be a race to the gym in Philly every morning. Who's going to get there before 5 a.m.?
Let me just keep it real. The Philadelphia 76ers with LeBron James can win a championship this year with this roster. Like, the one thing we talk about, high IQ guys, yeah, that's one thing, but LeBron James loves to play with a bunch of dogs. If you go and you check his history of the teams that he won a championship with, they had dogs. And this is what the Philadelphia 76ers, this is what they have. And when you look at LeBron over the past few years, think about this. He's been asked to do a lot of different roles, offensively and defensively. We saw him with the Lakers. He was asked in the playoff series to play the center position. And guess what? He actually did a damn good job doing it. And so when you think about the top dog, the defending champs, the New York Knicks, if they happen to get there and match up in a playoff series, LeBron James has no problem with going and call Anthony Towns. Matter of fact, you could go check the numbers and go look at, LeBron James and his matchup against Towns when he had to defend him, and he's done an outstanding job. So you think about Wade that came from Cleveland. Like, they have so many ways they could mix it up. And you're talking about Nick Nurse. Like, Nick Nurse know what it takes to put those guys in position to be successful. Yes, they are legit title contenders. Yes, they could win a championship this year.
And there's something poetic, gentlemen, maybe about waiting 24 days, 24 years to sign this. I'm not sure whether or not that was his intention. But, Brian, we have been waiting for this for quite some time. When it finally came through, sir, your reaction was what?
Well, it was a surprising decision, but it was a simple decision. And he gave us all the information we really need in his statement. First off, he named his final 3. He didn't phrase it that way, but he made a comment to Cleveland and made a comment to Miami and chose Philly. So I think we can say with confidence that those were his final 3. And he made it clear that winning a championship in 27 was his number 1 priority. Now, I know that that's basic. I say it's surprising, but it's simple. That's a basic thing that a free agent would want. But nowhere was it defined what happiness meant. And he also said that home wasn't a priority. So if winning is a priority and home is not a priority, you can kind of see how he got to Philadelphia. And I think one of the important things here is this is obviously going to be a difficult transition, not only going coast to coast. He's joining a team that has a whole bunch of other guys who are going to think they're going to be centerpiece players. The same situation would have been true in Cleveland. The difference is in Philadelphia, he has a basis of a relationship with both Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He's known Tyrese Maxey his whole career because of the Clutch Sports connection. So I think if you look at it from those two things, the decision sort of explains itself.
Yeah, and I think there's times, certainly, I have questions about 4 guys that could realistically be a number 1 option, and the offense runs through how this is going to work on the court. And we're going to get to all that over the course of the hour of this show. But again, Kendrick Perkins, I'm here in Chicago for WNBA All-Star Weekend. I was standing in the room. Asia Wilson is over on my right. Caitlin Clark is on my left. When the notification from Shams Charania and the news came through. And my mouth, even though I was expecting it, I wasn't surprised, and I was shocked. And it was interesting to see the best players in the world react to the greatest player that this generation has ever seen making a decision for the final time. I know that this caught you off guard as well.
Well, think about it, Malika. You were watching Asia Wilson and Caitlin Clark, and I'm in a basketball gym with 2,500 people, and everybody's sitting up here trying to ask me questions about the decision. So the whole world is on fire right now. And excuse my dress code, okay? I tried the best that I could. I know I usually come better than this, but listen. If my first thought is that I wanted to say, you know what, this is not bad. Matter of fact, this puts Philly right there up with the New York Knicks, right? They're going to be looking eye to eye with them. My second thought was, how big of a loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we could dive into that later on. But then I looked and I said, oh, LeBron James have an effect on Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, this is what he has been waiting on. He has been waiting on a guy like LeBron James to come in and not only play alongside of him, but be a mentor to him. I believe that we're going to see the best version of Joel Embiid because of LeBron James. LeBron James' IQ and what he brings to the table, what he brings off the floor, how to be a professional, how to take care of your body. We're going to see a different version of Joel Embiid, but also Malika, Wendy, you know, when I get to thinking, right? I thought about this. This is not a 2-year deal that LeBron James signed. This is a lifetime deal that LeBron James signed. See, everything LeBron James and Rich Paul do is strategically planned out for the future, right? And so I've got to thinking about their relationship with Josh Harris. I got to thinking about all the teams that Josh Harris owned, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Washington Commanders, right? And then I got to thinking about, LeBron James, after basketball, wants to be an owner. LeBron James loved the business side of it. How do you get in the business? You start by developing a relationship right now. So yes, he does want to compete for a championship, but this is bigger than just this 2-year, $8 million deal.
Shams, we just heard a little bit of James in his own words on what his motivation was to join the Philadelphia 76ers. But behind the scenes, peeling back the curtain a little bit, what was this process like and how did he land on Philly?
Malika, LeBron James literally put the money where his mouth is, right? Because early in the process, it was very apparent that he wanted to decide on a team where he found happiness, a chance to win a championship and compete at a high level. That this was not going to be a money-driven decision, which is what I told you back at Wimbledon about 25 days ago. And literally, he signs for the veteran minimum contract, the lowest amount that he can go for 2 years, $8 million with a player option for that potential 25th historic season. And this is weeks of a recruitment by the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, both recruited him. Jaylen Brown also communicated virtually with his agent, Rich Paul, as well in the last several weeks to try to see if they can get on the same page. We know Bob Myers 10 years ago got Kevin Durant's commitment. Now 10 years later gets LeBron James's commitment. Mike Gansey, their new president of basketball operations, he played with LeBron James, against LeBron James back in high school. So that relationship goes deep. He was also an executive with the Cavaliers. But the last hurdle, I'm told, Malika, this week for LeBron James was getting the family on board. His wife, Savannah, his daughter, Zuri, Bronny, and Bryce, his 2 young sons, now he's going to be playing on the East Coast. This is a complete family change for them. Over the last 8 years, he's been playing in LA. Now he's going to be on the East Coast. So getting them all in one vicinity was very important. This week, he was able to spend in Los Angeles with his family after getting, he's been doing the Cavaliers reunion trip. He was in New York for events.
Yeah.
He was in Puerto Rico hanging out with Draymond Green. And so he's able to get his family on board and decides to sign with the Sixers.